civilians in Lebanon on the high seas, another crime, killing them, bringing them to Israel, often taking them as hostages, keeping them in prison, sometimes for decades, no charges. There's probably, nobody knows, maybe 1,000 Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli prisons without any charge. We really don't know. Some of them are held in secret prisons, secret prison torture chambers, which have been exposed in Israel and in Europe. I don't think they've ever been reported here. But this has been going on for decades. On the high seas, it's in transit between Cyprus and Lebanon. Well, okay, so in June 2006, they kidnapped 2 more Palestinians in Gaza, so why notice it? In fact, it keeps continuing right now. 1 month ago, September 6th, the Israeli army invaded North Gaza and kidnapped 6 teenage children. Well, if it was noticed here, it was at most kind of a yawn. Coverage, as far as I can tell, is 0. It's just more of those Arabushi, to use some Hebrew slang, the counterpart to kike or nigger. So why should we pay any attention? That's the reality of what's happening. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of education to carry out, a lot of organizing to carry out. And despite the grim picture, I think the prospects are improving. Opinion in the United States is visibly shifting among the younger Jewish population as well. And the reason is that Israel's actions are just becoming too inconsistent with mainstream liberal values. Now, the role of the United States, which is the crucial role, that's still being totally obscured. The United States is presented just as a kind of a neutral observer, honest broker, and so on. Nevertheless, there is an improvement. It's very obvious in many ways, and it's kind of important. And there are many signs of it. One sign is that the propaganda is becoming more hysterical, and the efforts to silence discussion are becoming more desperate. Actually, Mecca has suffered very badly from this in the last couple of years. But the efforts go on. They're obviously very damaging, but they're less effective than in the past, which means that plenty of space is opening for actions. And they should be twofold, partly, maybe. I can't see anything, so if anybody wants to ask a question, somebody will have to make it apparent, because it's just a blank space out there.
That there'll be people with buckets out as you leave the auditorium in a little bit. And the reason I know you paid a lot of money to come here tonight, but it's worth it, isn't it? Is it great or what? But you know, I want to tell you just a quick minute about a project that the Middle East Children's Alliance is involved in. We had our project director, Dr. Mona El-Farah in Gaza, hold a community meeting at a high school in Gaza. And she said to the kids, what can we do? What can the Middle East Children's Alliance do to make life better? You tell us what you want. And the kids held workshops, and then they came back to Dr. Mona and they said, what we want more than anything is to be able to come to school and have a clean glass of water while we're at school. The water in Gaza is putrid. Israel has, for all of these many years, been taking all the water from the Gaza Strip and filling swimming pools in settlements in the West Bank and inside Israel with the water from Gaza. And because of that, the water table has been lowered to such an extent that it's undrinkable, and people, especially small children, are getting sick. So Dr. Mona found a man in Gaza who has made water purification desalination systems, which we are installing in schools in the Gaza Strip. And in a high school where we can get 2,000 pure glasses of water every single day, it costs $10,000. And in preschools and nursery schools, it costs, the smaller schools, it costs $4,000. And I'm asking you, if you can, to write a check or to dump some cash in those buckets, or to take the little envelope out of the newsletter and to send it back to us with money. It's really important. You know, we help create this situation as American citizens, and this is the opportunity for all of us to try and make a difference and to say, we're sorry, we want you to have the water that will make your children healthier, and I'm asking you to help us with this. There are so many projects that we're doing, but this is a project that means so much to me personally. So please, on your way out, in the mailbox, come into the office, give us the money. I really want you to do this. I want you to help me. So that's enough for money, okay? I want to remind people to buy the book bags, the Chomsky book bags, the Chomsky t-shirts. They're wonderful. Please buy them on your way out. And I especially want to ask you to stop at the book table out there. The books, the Haymarket books, are so phenomenal. I, of course, once again, I made a promise to myself I wasn't going to start buying books the minute I got to this event, and I bought the books. There are wonderful books there. Chomsky books, all kinds of wonderful books. Please support Haymarket. Finally, I want to say, if you have a $100 or $250 ticket, we hope you will stay for the private reception with Noam beginning at 10 o'clock in the grand lobby. And if you have a $250 ticket, you can pick up your collector's item, autographed poster of Noam at the Meccan table in the lobby. And finally, I want to remind you, every year the Middle East Children's Alliance and Joining Hands has a wonderful holiday bazaar, as we will again this year. It's on Saturday, December 12th at St. John's Church on College Avenue, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that. We have beautiful pottery. Come on up. There were millions of wonderful questions that you all asked, and we're going to take turns reading some of the questions, and Noam hopefully will answer them. And I'll do the first one. I actually chose this one myself because you'll know why. I'll read you the question. Professor Chomsky, you talk about injustice a lot, but you never seem to get angry. Why is this?
Could answer that question. It's inside. You know, there's no point getting visibly angry. I mean, maybe there is. Maybe it gets other people angry. What's important is to control the anger and do something that matters.
Professor Chomsky, regarding Afghanistan, if U.S. troops pull out suddenly, will we not be leaving the people of Afghanistan, particularly women, at the tender mercies of the Taliban?
That's the debate that's going on. And like much of what happens, I think we ought to ask ourselves whether the right questions are being asked. You know, any scientist will tell you if you ask the wrong questions, you get crazy answers. The trick is to ask the right questions. The real question is, who's to make that decision? Do we have a right to make that decision? Did the Russians have the right to make that decision in the 1980s? Actually, they debated the same point with some justice, probably more justice than we had. The Russians, if you look back at the debate in the night they invaded Afghanistan in the 1980s, and at least in some areas, like the capital Kabul, women's education was carried out pretty extensively. Women were pretty free. They could dress the way they wanted and so on. They had problems. The main problem they had was that the U.S.